Today we're out here in beautiful Dallas, Texas. We get invited to every year at the OL Mastermind. We're here to talk stem cell therapy and health optimization to a bunch of really big linemen.
Fellas, today we're going to talk a little stem cell therapy. So as I was talking about it with Duke, we kind of agreed that it'd be much more valuable for you guys to not just hear a pitch about our company and about stem cell therapy, but to have it be a little bit more educational. So we put together a panel of some of your peers, some elite athletes that have had real world experience with stem cell therapy. Obviously, probably some major injuries before stem cell therapy and what their results were. So we're going to talk to the panel and get some of their, real world experience. If we have enough time at the end, we'd love to get some questions for you. But before I start, I'd like a quick raise of hands. How many of you, just so I can gauge the understanding already, how many of you have already done stem cell therapy before? Okay, yeah, quite a few guys. Actually, you know what? I have a follow-up. Of those guys that have done stem cell therapy, how many of you have gone offshore, not in the United States? Okay, couple. Okay, cool. I bet you there's a bunch of you that didn't raise your hand because I see some of our patients that are just kind of keeping it on the down low, and that's understandable. So that actually tells me a couple of things. That tells me that a lot of guys are already in the right mindset to understand that what you're being told by really great physicians in the Western medical system is not all that you have. So surgery and drugs are not the only thing that you guys have access to. That's what we're here to talk about today. So I'm glad to see that some of you are already in that mindset. And for the guys that have gone offshore, I'm glad that you've also taken your education a step further and you understand that really what's happening here in the US is very low level. So I think we'll get into some of that too. I'll start the questions for the panel, but before I do, if you don't mind rolling the video, we've got somebody that couldn't make the panel today, but he wanted to say sorry and shoot a quick video.
Bill Goldberg here with a little checkup on my BioXcellerator stem cell treatment. Went the beginning of February. It is now the end of June, about 2.5 weeks away from my retirement match, which was the reason behind me pulling the trigger on the stem cell treatment. I've had a number of friends go down. Every single one of them has had wonderful results, but I needed something really to push me to do it. Getting in the ring at 58 years old, that's what did it. I have a number of injuries, well documented throughout my career. Destroyed right shoulder, left knee, no meniscus, and I got some spine issues. Went down there, specifically went after those 3 areas. They all took extremely well. I couldn't do this before I went down to BioXcellerator. I have a torn labrum at the moment, but it's given me the ability to actually use my arm again. The spine took extremely well. The knee took well. Love to be there with you guys this weekend. Obviously, I've got the NFL experience, a little bit of the wrestling experience, and I can kind of speak because I've been in you guys' situation before. If you ever listen to anything that I say, stem cell treatment, 100%. BioXcellerator is the place to go.
Goldberg wanted to be here today, and he's going to get back in the ring at his age, and he attributes that to stem cell therapy. So that set aside, guys, I'm going to turn it over to you. Duke, I'm going to start with you, and my one question is going to go to all of you guys. First off, thank you for being here. But Duke is, obviously the catalyst of putting this great group together, but he's also sent a lot of guys to us. And so I think sharing your experience, both starting from the injury, going back to the beginning of your journey, and then, what you're getting treated for, and then your experience at BioXcellerator and stem cell.
So in 2021, I was a competitive power lifter. And in 2021, I went down with over 600 pounds at the bottom of a squat. and I tore my patella tendon and quad tendon in the left knee. I tore my quad tendon in the right knee, broke and dislocated my big toe. And anybody that has had knee injuries, but specifically patella injuries, you know, you have good days and you have bad days for months. You know, there's no real, sometimes you feel like there's no real light at the end of the tunnel. So it doesn't just become physical, but it also becomes mental. And so I had been doing quote unquote research on mesenchymal stem cells for a long time. And there were some companies that offered that particular service offshore. But what really drew me to BioXcellerator was their approach to not just treatment, but then also the treatment protocol afterwards. And I think that's what really set them apart. So like their entire process was geared towards like a return to play. It wasn't just like, hey, you know, you're getting treated for one day and you can go play at the bingo hall, you know. I would say first and foremost, when they started off, it was like, hey, we need to see all your imaging. We need to see the doctor's notes because we need to see if we can help you first. We're not going to agree to treat you if we don't think we can help you. And I'm going to come back to that in just a second. So after they looked at everything, they said, we can definitely help you. Here's what the protocol would be. I was down in Colombia for 7 days, getting treated pretty much every day, different types of treatments, but then also like recovery stuff. And that, to me, is what made the biggest difference was like the aspect of recovery, because at the end of the day, I was still a competitive athlete. And I, at one point, had aspirations of trying to get back. And I mean, I'm 40 now, and I'm going to try to get back and do some competitive lifting a little bit, maybe probably a deadlift only, no squat. But that was important to me. And once I saw the level of care that I was given, once I experienced the protocol and just the relationship that ended up building, I knew that I can trust this particular process with some of the best players in the world, and the rest is really history. And I always urge guys like, hey, I got this going on and it's just not getting better. I said, I got something for you. Some people are skeptical about it, and that's fine. Some people are gonna make their own decisions, but I know what it's done for me. A lot of you guys have seen my videos recently and can't believe that I'm lifting again, but yeah, I'm putting weight on my back. I'm still getting back to pulling 600 and all that stuff. And that's a testament to the treatment and the protocol and the follow-ups that I had with BioX.
Yeah, I want to follow that, and thank you for the kind words, Duke. You know, one of the things that we really focus in on is actually denying patients. And, you know, I don't think there's a lot of other companies out there that have a really bad business model like we do. We really want you to treat you once if we are going to treat you, and we want to deny you if we don't really think we're going to help. So, yeah, we denied his cousin, exactly. And so, you know, whether it's us that you seek out your medical, you know, treatment with or not, we would love to educate you. And that's part of the reason that we're invited here. And then the second thing I'll follow up with is that and I've been getting this question a lot down at the booth is, you know, what is the recovery time? And it varies between each and every person. But that is something that we will teach you individually from a physical therapy standpoint on how to recover from each joint. We might teach you something different for the shoulder that we do for the hip, that we do for the knee. So that was very important. So the next question, same question, but Quentin Rampage Jackson, can you tell me about your first, second, third, fifth experience with us?
Oh yeah, I heard about getting stem cells from this fighter named TJ Dillashaw. He was having some injuries, and I was kind of skeptical about it. And so I looked into it, and some people started hitting me up on Instagram, and they gave me some stem cells in America in my knee, and it actually made it worse. And you know, I was kind of pissed off, so I talked to TJ about it, and I never followed up with him. And then this fighter named Frank Mir told me about BioX in Colombia. And I was like, man, I always wanted to go to Colombia anyway. I heard the women there are beautiful. That's what I heard. So I was like, all right, I'm gonna go check it out. And I went out there and I saw their facilities. I was still kind of skeptical, I ain't gonna lie, but TJ and Frank Mir were telling me that it really works and stuff like that. And so I went down there and they took care of my knee, and I did what you guys told me to do. And sure enough, a couple of months I was back, you know, wrestling and doing things that I haven't done for for years and stuff. So I started telling all my friends about it, and then I went back to get like my shoulders and my elbows and stuff done, and I brought my son there. And my son started fighting, and he had a few injuries in his knees and stuff like that, and it's changed my life, and I'm back training, and I'm like he was saying, when you have a knee injury, it is mental, and some days you just want to just go off on everybody because you just in pain for like no reason, and it changed me, and now I'm in a better mood, and I'm moving around better, and I'm chasing younger women. I'm happy.
I've seen him in Colombia. That's true. The weirdest thing about this business is that I've had a lot of family members come to me actually and say, even wives say, you've saved my marriage. Or I've had kids come to me and say, hey, my dad's a different guy now. And you just kind of hit on that with being in a better mood. Sometimes when you're in so much pain, you don't even realize you're being a prick all day, and you can't help it. And I'm sure a lot of you guys are in that position. So anyways, that's just a side note. So Will, you've got a couple of trips with us. I don't know what you're willing to talk about, but I know your last injury was massive, and you've been to us recently. So talk to us about your experience.
Yeah, guys, Will Hernandez here. So I'm going to come to you guys from a straight player standpoint, all right? Like, I don't get anything out of this. Nobody's paying me. Nobody asked me to do anything. I'm coming from a straight player-to-player perspective. So the reason why I agreed to come up here was, one, I have Duke to thank that he's the one that put me in contact with BioXcellerator. Coming out of New York, my last couple of years, I was pretty banged up. And early on in my career, too, it was my third, fourth year. And it got to a point where I got a labrum, and I had a bunch of other stuff that I had to deal with. And we had tried some stuff. We hadn't tried some stuff. I was scared to do surgeries. I was scared to do, nobody wants to do all those cortisone shots. There's just a lot of like solutions out there that are temporary. They're just little Band-Aids the way I see it. And so when I got introduced to BioXcellerator, same thing. I was sketched out, and looking at all the prices, talking about leaving the country, all this stuff. But again, the reason why I did it was because I was desperate. I wanted to feel good because I wasn't playing the way I knew I wanted to play. And if it's a lack of work ethic, if it's a lack any of that, that's one thing. But for you not being able to do something because your body is not letting you is a whole nother kind of hurt. So so I took the risk, I took the shot, did it, and to be honest, man, it changed my entire career. I started doing it about 4 years ago, and ever since then, man, I feel like a different player. I feel like I move better. And originally, I had gone there for a labrum. But what I didn't know and what I learned very quickly is that these things help with everything else as well. Things that I didn't even know I needed help with, that I started feeling better. And I'm talking about cognitive thinking, brain fog's gone. Talking about, the way you sleep, it helps your sleep. And we all know here, we get a sleep seminar every year before season starts. It's the most important part. And that's one of the things that it helps the most with. And, it's just, I would have felt selfish not coming up here and telling y'all straight out of my mouth what it did for me. Because also being in the league 8 years now, going into year 8, I've seen many guys either quit, get cut, or just simply can't proceed playing because of the way they're feeling, because of something that's nagging, because shit accumulated. So, it's something that really, really helped out my career. Unfortunately, we had something else, but at the end of the day, that's football. That's what it is. But from what I went to get the help for, I definitely got, and I definitely, I would definitely tell you guys to do your research, do all that stuff, do your due diligence, check it out. But if you're one of those situations where you feel you're not up to the standard where you want to be, or you're dealing with a lot of shit on your body, which 99% of us are. I think Joe Thomas might be the only one that never had a problem. Yeah. But Yeah, man, this shit's changed my life, and you know, I definitely want to see as many guys prosper from it as possible and benefit, and play as long as you can and feed your families and do all that. So,
I have a question.
Yep.
The just the IV drip versus a nebulized. Is there a difference
Yeah. So
in how your body absorbs?
yeah, the question is about IV drip versus nebulized. Those are very, very different treatment modalities. The nebulized is more to pass the blood-brain barrier, and if you do that with smaller extracellular vesicles like exosomes, like you mentioned, those pass the blood-brain barrier anyways. When you do it IV, they go mostly through your lungs and heart first, and then they have a mechanism of action where they home. So the mesenchymal stem cell actually just finds the massive inflammation in your body. So they reduce inflammation, they stimulate repair. So they'll stimulate repair of all of your internal organs, including cartilage and tendons. And then they also upregulate and downregulate your immune system. But this goes into something actually that resonated with what Will said. You know, when he talked about the systemic treatment also helping him sleep well. And there's a lot of other anecdotal evidence and actual scientific evidence of what the mechanisms of action are for that. But it's true, the IV is dramatically beneficial to have for almost everybody. And so that's something that we recommend that people do preventatively. And I think that's also something Will was kind of getting into, is that, you know, this is the reason that, you know, Duke is very special to us, and he asked us to pass along and do something special for you. So we've virtually given you an $18,000 IV of 100 million stem cells, so that you can experience that on your own. Obviously, I'm very biased. You know, I'd love you to come to us for all the rest of your injuries, but you should do some due diligence, because there are some great clinics and there are some not so great clinics. And one of the reasons that we were forced offshore is because we wanted to be a great clinic. It's the highest level stem cell therapy is not legal in the United States right now. We're an Arizona-based company, but we were forced offshore because we wanted to give our athletes and our patients the highest level stem cell therapy possible. So really great questions, and we're happy to field any other questions. So if you have any, raise your hand and I'll call on you. Yeah, go ahead.
Sure, but there's a lot of controversies stuff where you talk about stem cell harvesting and stuff like that. Can you speak to like how you guys harvest your stem cells, where it come from? Oh, I know it's a umbilical force base, but there's ways of you get it from the umbilical force. You explain for those of us like, without said, I would prefer not to go somewhere that they're harvesting stem cells from awarded.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, great question. So the question is about the harvesting of stem cells, and specifically the ethical sourcing of stem cells. There was a lot of controversy back in the early 2000s with the sourcing of ethical or unethical sources of stem cell, as you made the reference that some scientists were taking them from aborted fetuses. Hell no, we don't do that. We've never done that. We will never do that. It's not necessary, quite frankly. The best way to get the most pure and potent stem cells on the planet right now are from donated umbilical cords. But that means that the healthy mom and the healthy baby, they go home and live healthy lives together, when otherwise they would just throw that cord away. It would be medical waste. Now they donate it to scientific companies like ours, to where we can do research and then actually treat patients and help thousands of people. So we're the only stem cell company in the world that is fully vertically integrated. So that means that we control the donor program, we control the laboratory process, we control the expansion protocol where we manipulate the cells, and we also apply the injections, and then we also do the research on the back end. Nobody else in the world does that. You know, that's part of my sales pitch, but it's also true. So it's very important, to your point, to make sure that you're sourcing the right umbilical cords and not working with companies that are just buying umbilical cords and not knowing where they're coming from. So we have a very strict exclusion-inclusion criteria where we know the mothers, the both sides of the family long before they go into labor. We dictate the labor. It has to be C-section. We go in, we take the cord, and I could go 50 steps further on, the safety protocols that we have, but that's a very important question. Okay, feel free to raise your hands. Again, I want this to be an open forum for as much time as we have, but my follow-up question to you guys on the panel here is about, I guess we started touching on this, is about where do you see regenerative medicine in sports now that it is starting to become more readily available? We know that the league allows it. They allow it for injury recovery. but not for performance enhancement, of course. But where do you guys see it in professional sports?
From my perspective, just kind of being around the business now, there's a couple of different things. Those that don't understand it from a team or from a different entity standpoint, oftentimes are going to shy away from it or kind of down talk it. It really is the open dialogue with guys like Will and Rampage and myself, and really urging other players to do their own research and to talk to people who actually have real life experience, and how it makes them feel. Rampage said it, Will said it, it changed my life. I mean, for some of you guys, I trained in a wheelchair for 3 months. I couldn't walk, and then I finally, my one thing that I wish I would have did is went sooner. I should have went about 8 to 10 weeks after surgery and not really like 5 months after surgery, because my quality of life would have been so much better. But I think what we're seeing now, Eric, is that you're seeing conversations and word of mouth like this starting to happen. And you're seeing more and more players taking it upon themselves to go and be their best version of themselves. We talk about it all on the field all the time. You're responsible for your own development, all right? Remember that line. You're responsible for your own development. With that, you're also in a way responsible to seek out any and everything that's going to allow you to be better and be at your best. And this is one of those things that does it. So I really think it's a mixed bag in terms of the acceptance and the realization of these things can help you. Because again, those that don't know about it are the first ones that will say something bad about it, because it's what they heard, not what they have experienced.
It's crazy that you asked this question, because I was thinking about this recently, because like I said earlier, I have a 25-year-old son that he's getting into fighting and stuff like that, and he's already experienced stem cells, and I've seen a big difference in him and the way he's been training. And I've been a professional athlete for almost 25 years, and I was kind of worried that like if MMA or UFC would kind of frown upon it, but I was thinking like if they was smart, they would encourage the fighters to get it, because say you got a fighter that's a superstar and that's earning them a lot of money, you would want them to be healthy. And I was thinking, I wish that this technology was around sooner in my career. I would have had it written in my contract. They'll get it for me once a year, because honestly, I got it at the end of my career, but if I would have gotten in like a couple of years sooner, you know what I'm saying, maybe like 5 or 10 years sooner, I probably would have won more fights, because I lost a few fights due to injuries, but you still got to do what you got to do, right? And I think that when the more people learn about it and the more information is out there, that you're going to see a lot of different athletes play and fight and do whatever they love to do longer. Yeah.
As far from a legality standpoint, and I kind of see in this market, I kind of see it going towards like the path that cannabis took here. 10 years ago, couldn't do it. Now it's pretty much available everywhere, slowly, state by state. I think that's where this is heading as well. And I think in about, I don't want to put a timestamp on it, but 5, 6 years, maybe even sooner, you're going to see it so much more of a norm. And everybody's going to all of a sudden, know about it, want it, have it be a part of their routine, kind of like it is with ours. And at the end of the day, guys, the shit we do is not normal. The amount of physical wear and tear we take is not normal. Yeah, we do a lot of shit like cold plunging, saunas, all that to make ourselves feel better, but do we really know what it's like or how we would have felt if we never played in the first place? So it's just one of those you don't know that you're tight until you get a massage, right? I feel like it's one of those kind of deals too. So I think anything that has to do with my body regenerating, rebuilding, and feeling better, I'm all for, especially with some as high as quality as this with BioX. And yeah, man, I think we kind of get lost in our world of all the physicality of being in a car. What did we hear all our whole careers? We're in a car wreck every Sunday. You know, that shit ain't normal. So, you know, I think as we have all the benefits, zero risks.
So, I don't know if I'm allowed to answer my own question, but I've got an opinion on that, and it's highlighting something that all of you kind of said, and that's that I think that this needs to be much more preventative. We're seeing it a lot in our clinic. You know, we typically 10 years ago we used to see people that just called us because they were in pain or just called us because they were hurt. But then after they, like Will, you know, after they were healed and saw the amazing regenerative properties and the ability to heal so quickly, and then they started using it as a secret weapon and coming in, you know, before their fight camp or before OTAs or, you know, before their, what?
I mean, we've sent players down during the season we've sent some players down during the season that people thought were going to be out for the season, and we got them back.
Yeah, so you know, there's no debate in the scientific community. I mean, this works hands down. One of the problems that the industry has, and my company in particular, is that we can't advertise like typical companies. So we can't buy Google AdWords, and you know, we have all of the social media channels, but we can't boost those, and you know, not like a typical company. So we actually rely on forums like this, and we rely on guys in the locker room talking about their success. And you know, I understand why everybody didn't put their hand up, even though some of you are our patients. But you know, we need you to talk about it when you have real results, and we need to get this industry to a place where it's not just reactive, because that's what our whole healthcare system is reactive. We want to become proactive, and stem cell is a good place to do that. That's why we gave you the gift of the IV, so that you can be proactive and systemically start to heal yourself. So anyways, that's where I'd like to see the stem cell therapy industry go. And we have really set ourselves up to be the global standard, and that goes with education as well. So even if you are looking into stem cell, use us as a resource. We give free telemedicine consultations, and you know, and get educated. And whether you choose us or not, we'll at least help put you in the right direction, because there are other good companies out there. Anybody else have questions? Yeah, go ahead. What's your question back there? Yeah, so we're in Arizona, and a Scottsdale-based company. I founded the company in 2015. I had big ambition to bring it to the United States immediately. And when I got deeper in with the scientists and figured out, hey, we want to do the best. We want to give our athletes and our patients the absolute best technology available. Well, that's when we found out we couldn't do it in the United States. So you see stuff in the United States all the time. It's typically adipose tissue or bone marrow derived cells, very low level cells, very low level science. I wouldn't waste my money on it. There's just so much better out there. But I understand that, you know, being local is, you know, a barrier. When you can go right down the street and try it, it's a lot easier than going to Columbia. But Columbia is only 3 hours from Miami, so it's not bad. But the regulation piece is about the expansion. So getting the hundreds of millions of times more cells and expand it into a place that's scientifically manipulated to be the most pure and potent and effective, that's where the regulation here in the States hasn't caught up to the technology. Yeah, we're a US-based company. We're Americans. We want to come back home. Yeah, we're ambitiously starting that move now. I've got a little investment dinner that we're doing later for some of those that are interested about our expansion plans. And yeah, so we're coming back on shore as soon as possible. Very much like Will said, though, it's going to be state by state for a while, and it's going to be still very limited treatment. It's going to be basically just orthopedic treatments. We treat over 170 indications, so neurological conditions, autoimmune disease, even spinal cord injury. So we are, you know, the top super, well, I call it the super center, but it's, you know, a regenerative medicine center of authority. So we won't be able to do all those onshore for probably a decade, but just orthopedic stuff is starting to move in the States with RFK. And, you know, Bobby just invited us. He just did a docuseries on our company in stem cells. So yeah, I see that pendulum swinging. Good question. Anybody else, guys?
Eric, I keep. Eric is a good guy. I'm telling you guys, just like Will, I'm not paid to be here or nothing. He told me about it, and I want to come because if you guys get to know this guy, then you'll see why we fuck with him so heavily. He keeps talking about the other stem cells places. There are other places, and some of my friends have been, and I hear stories from like some people go to Tijuana and go there, and one of my friends who told me about stem cells in the first place, TJ Dillashaw, he was going to Panama for years, and now he switched to go to BioXcellerator in Colombia. I know it's a long flight, and you know you got to leave the country, and a lot of people kind of worried about that. But I always felt safe there, and their facility is in a mall, and you really don't have to leave, the mall if you don't want to. But one thing about that place and that company is the offices, the hospital is nicer than any hospital I've ever been to here in America, if I'm gonna be honest. And you can tell they really care about you. And I know it's from him, the way he hires people and the way he wants his company set up. And if I'm gonna be 100% honest, they almost care a little bit too much because they bother the hell out of me afterwards. Keep asking me, how you feeling? How you feeling? They want to, get your feedback, but that's because they really care. And I asked my friends about it. The people that went to TJ or Panama, and they said, no, it's not the same experience. And I did a little bit of my research before about and I learned about the umbilical cord and stuff like that. So I don't feel guilty or nothing going there. And then when I saw the facility and stuff, I was really impressed. And that's why I brought my own blood back there. I brought my son there and everything. So I appreciate you plugging all the other places, man. But you do have the best facility for stem cells. All the people that went to other places and then went to Bio, they all tell me like, yeah, BioX is the best place.
Okay, I agree. I've got go ahead. Yeah, question.
No, it's not really a question. This is more one of those things where you got to speak to, so young guys, old guys. I mean, we know the business of the NFL and college now, how it is. They not looking out for your best interest. They looking out for you. They trying to get you back on the field as fast as possible. All right. So you got to be your own biggest advocate when it comes to this stuff and doing your research like they're saying, because I said, if I'd have got this earlier, I might be playing a couple more years at the end of the day. But be your biggest advocate. Do your research, because these teams give you, what we'll say, man, they give you these cortisone shots to make you feel better for a game. Can't tell you how many times I got my knee drained right before a game and a cortisone shot to make sure it felt good. Wasn't addressing the big issue. All right? Do your research. Make sure you fight for yourself, because at the end of the day, that's all you got.
I'll just so the rest of you can hear, and I think we're out of time, so I'll call it after this. But the statement was about it was something that's resonated throughout all of the talks, I think, and even Duke mentioned this, is that you got to be your biggest advocate. The league, they're wanting to get you back in the game as quickly as possible. And you specifically talked about cortisone. Look, we understand why you guys need the cortisone shots, and in the position you're in to get back in the game and get out of pain. Obviously that's necessary, but in the long run, I can tell you from a medical perspective, that wreaks havoc on your body. It causes terrible arthritis in the long run. But we can help you with that in the mid-season. So if you have to get the cortisone in this season, great. Come to us, get the stem cells so we can start regenerating that tissue so you don't have to get it the next season.